Hi, and welcome to Something for the Weekend. We're having a second go at this live recording because we've had lots of gremlins in the system today. Not that we aren't used to gremlins. Anyway, I'm Ju Gosling, also known as Ju90. I'm an artist and artistic director of Together 2012, who are bringing you this live stream today. With me, where she's been locked down for longer than she cares to remember, is our chair, the artist Julie Newman. But first, we're going to go to the other end of our long, in fact, I'll look this way this time because they're in the opposite direction, the other end of our long virtual wheeled sofa all the way to the West Midlands for some introductions and audio description. As always, we're dressed up to go out to stay in. So also, can you tell us, guys, what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do this week?
Well, hello, I'm Tracy Surgener. And I'll give you my description. I'm up in our West Midlands office with our red velvet curtains behind us. I'm wearing a grey fur hat that comes all the way down to my chin. So it's got big ear flaps at the sides with a little bit of string and a couple of bubbles. So I'm like, ooh. Today I'm wearing a grey jumper with blocks of darker grey and black on it, and I'm wearing some really warm leopard print trousers that again they're all grey and black, and I'm wearing them because I am wearing these to go out to stay in, to go to the Antarctic with my little baby penguin. You can just about see him. He's black and grey as well, so I'll put him there. And we're going to have a family reunion because this teddy bear, this baby beanie teddy, represents an actual penguin that we've adopted.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
So, morning.
And over to me. So, hi, I'm Robin Surgener, also known as Angry Fish. You'll hear that version of me later, hopefully. I'm business director at Together 2012 and co-host. So I am sitting here today with lovely, clean, white, shiny hair, dark rimmed glasses in front of blue eyes, freshly shaved as well for once. And in terms of my clothing, I am wearing kind of faded black cargo trousers, and then I'm wearing underneath of a black round neck t-shirt, but over the top I'm wearing a black hoodie, which has got dark kind of khaki emerald accents, and on the zip and on the left breast is the logo for the Mandalorian, and I am dressed up to go out to stay in to attend a liberty party, a party that is about everybody being able to have the right to be who they want to be.
That sounds wonderful. Well, like I say, I'm Ju Gosling. I'm also known as Ju90, and well, we'll tell you what we're dressed up to go out to stay in to do in a minute. I'm a white woman with pale olive skin. I've got green eyes behind black plastic glasses and black plastic wrist braces, silver coloured jewellery. I'm wearing a white t-shirt with an urban fox on it, and I'm wearing a lovely hand-knitted hat in stripes of purple and lilac, with a very fluffy kind of turquoisey blue Angora bobble. And I don't think it's any surprise to anybody who's sighted that Julie sitting next to me is wearing pretty much an identical hand-knitted hat, for which we have to say thank you so much to the Scottish maker Alison Walker. They arrived this week. It was a wonderful surprise. We're dressed up to go out to stay in to watch Winter Watch, and Julie will tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But also just to say, behind us you can see a little bit of our Together graffiti banner. You can also see our teddy bear, Tony. And Tony will be, well, desperately hoping to be able to wear a medal if we win this week's Clockwork Paralympics, which are coming up about halfway through the show. But Julie, tell us a bit more about who you are, what you look like, and tell us about Winter Watch.
Thank you, Ju. Winter Watch is on BBC One, I think, or
Two.
Thank you very much.
iPlayer,
and also on the iPlayer. It shows at 8 p.m. in the evening. But if you go to the iPlayer or the website link itself, It's got live feeds all during the day from 10 o'clock in the morning, which is terribly exciting. Excuse me. However, when we see it, it's nighttime, which is why I've got a bobble hat on, similar to Ju's, identical description. I've got dark rimmed glasses. I'm wearing my hair like a scarf today. It's gold and orange. I've got a black t-shirt on, and it has a constellation because we're going out at night. Optimistically, the cats have made sure that there's a cat constellation on it. So there's a figure of a cat constellation. And as I say, we're dressing up to go out to stay in to see Winter Watch.
Yeah, and I think it's worth just touching at this moment on the fact you can do an awful lot of winter watching from a very small urban home, as we know. And just like last night, we were watching the full moon. Well, it's 2 or 3 days past the full moon, but you don't have to even to be able to go out to be able to see something. Check out the window late at night, you might see a fox. You almost certainly will see the moon if the weather's clear enough. You might see all sorts of smaller creatures going about their business, and I just think also in London, of course, it's been pretty much a microclimate, but they do say the temperatures are going to drop. Those lovely patterns and things that frost make on glass and frost makes on different things, things frozen in the garden. And don't forget to, if it is frozen, put some water out for the birds and insects. Have you been doing any winter watching up in the West Midlands, Surgeoners?
We're lucky enough to have a lovely garden, so we have a whole manner of stuff. We get loads of foxes, which is great. And actually, I was out last night, and the full moon was absolutely beautiful here, or the not quite full moon. But yeah, we do, and we get we have a green woodpecker that comes along every so often when it's hungry. It appears out of nowhere and then disappears for 2 months and comes back. So yeah. We're kind of out there.
Yeah, I want to watch as well.
And I think the fact the birds are beginning to come back, we don't get many birds in Canning Town, it has to be said, but that just means they're all the more welcome when they come back. So yeah, if you're still stuck at home for various reasons, don't think that is a reason to be cut off from nature. But moving on, let's have a look at some of the poetry that's been written by the Together 2012 poets this week. We have a pop-up poetry club which we run on a Wednesday from 10:30 to 12. It's all by phone. We phone you and we pay the costs. And then, of course, just use whatever you want to write on. We have a theme each week, and as part of that theme, I think you also do some discussion on the theme. You maybe do some voice exercises or some breathing. People bring in other poems that other people have written on that same theme that they might have found during the week. There's sort of 20 minutes, half hour where we ring off so that people can carry on writing, and then the last 20 minutes, half an hour is people sharing their poems. And I'm delighted to say that, as always, we've got some of those poems to be shared with us today. So I'm going to come over to the West Midlands and say who would like to start and with whose poem.
I don't mind starting. So I have a poem by Crystal Peasy, and it's called The Painting. The painting is of rainbows. Rainbows are all different bright colours, like green, blue, red, white, yellow and orange. Bright colours are strong and noticeable and not dark. I do many different paintings to decorate my house, and we decorate our house in different colours. I can decorate the garden with all different artworks, all different arts. Painting is a good activity.
Thank you, Crystal, and thank you, Tracy. And I should have said this week's theme was a poem about a painting. Julie, I think you've got one from Alison Marchant, and Alison Marchant is the mid-career artist who leads our club's programme.
Yes, thank you, Ju. Actually, it's about a picture that we like. So people have chosen paintings or other pictures. Alison, this is an Alison poem called Painting of Loch Bowie, Isle of Mull. Painting at Loch Bowie using water from rock pools, the wind scatters sand. Watercolors soak into small pieces of textured paper. The gritty sand sweeps across the image in brushstrokes. The sun beats down to dry the paintings. The landscape is empty of people, with just the sounds of the calling curlew.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Alison. And all of those poems and everything else that we do will be up on our website on the highlights and links page about 4 o'clock on a Thursday. So, Robin, what have you got for us next?
I have one from Glory Sengo. This is called Painting. When I was painting indigo, dark blue, that is my most favourite colour, in the busy life of the London Underground, and also mixing colour with the Rugby Cup final in France. And it would be very nice for me to live near Walthamstow Central, Finsbury Park, and finally Wood Green. And that's why I would have a house or a flat there. And it depends on the flat, because I like flats, as I moved there when I was a baby boy, and I loved it in 1993.
Brilliant. There's so much in that, Glory, and I also love the idea of painting with indigo. Julie, have you got your... Oh, actually, let me read a poem first. So this one is by Kate Rollerson. Kate is a great artist and also works part-time now as our youth development worker. And this is called The Goose and the Star. A storm, and a single Canada goose, small as a fingernail, snug against the clouds, suspended amongst prongs of lightning that dive into the grass, like a plant putting down roots. It has lost its skein, its way, yet resolutely flies towards red mountains between green and blue flash. Over all this, an orange star winks, as if to say, though lonely, you are not alone. Thank you, Kate. That was a really great message. So, Tracy, what have you got for us next?
Right. Excuse me. I have a poem by Dawn Barber, and it's called The Cottage. There's a cottage I know that is out of this world. The curtains are pure white. The garden is full of flowers and roses. They smell divine. The nice garden fence and black gate. And as you walk up the path, there are climbing yellow roses around the windows, and a pretty butterfly that rests on them. And as I breathe in and out, I never want to forget that scene, because this is what life is all about, the cottage in my dream.
Oh, that's a really lovely place to go, isn't it? A sort of safe place to go in your mind. Thank you. Julie, do you want to read us your poem next?
Thank you, Ju. This is called From the Window. Picture this, a familiar landscape, colours changing with the seasons. The image changes as the train gathers speed, pushing onwards to the city, pushing onwards through the day. Houses side by side become the new landscapes, flashes of other people's lives, not 1,000 words, but windows framing the dramas of other people's lives. Glimpses uncensored of the day-to-day clutter, the day-to-day heartbreak, the day-to-day joy. Rooms are the views, intimate but distant, other people's lives, dreams, the day-to-day clutter of emotions and hopes, the bleakness of despair, the detritus of their days, other people's days. The journey rushes to an end, the natural end, expected and accepted. All that lingers is now lost in the bustle of a different world. A new picture is drawn. Other people's lives, dreams, the day-to-day clutter of emotions and hopes, the bleakness of despair, the detritus of their days, other people's lives.
Thank you, Julie. I'm going to break convention here and ask you to tell us a bit more about what inspired that.
Oh, thank you, Ju. I used to live in Brighton, and I was coming up to London for a course regularly, once a week, on the train to Victoria. And I was travelling up just after the great storm that swept the south, 86, 87. And I was just sitting looking out of the window, actually more focused than usual. And I saw all these houses that we were going past, and they had all the things inside the windows were like little pictures. It was like a little panorama of little pictures all put together, almost like a mosaic, actually, more to the point. And it just captured my imagination, and that's always stayed with me. If I was going to think of a favourite picture or a painting that I would really like, I'd love to have a painting with all of those be able to capture those little scenes, and that's what was behind it.
Wow. Yeah, I think that says it all, really. So I'm going to come back to Robin, and I think you might have a poem from Dwayne Bryan.
I do. So this is entitled A Painting. I did a painting of my own. It was a picture of a plant pot, flourishing green, beautiful sprout. And the pot it was in was a beautiful brown. It took me about an hour to draw, but believe you me, I really adore. I use oil pastels to do the picture. And paint, what a great mixture. I have many pictures that I do like, but this certain picture is just right. I wish you could see it one of these days, and I hope your comments will be great. I have many paintings and pictures too, but this certain picture to my heart is true. What do I do? What do I say? I have so many pictures around my way. Can I pick my favourite? Can I pick my best? I'll leave you to see the rest. You must have seen some paintings at an exhibition or two, so tell me your favourites. That's all you need to do. If you see a picture, it can tell a story, but it's up to you which one is true. It could touch your heart, it could make you cry, it could make you feel like you want to die.
Thank you, Dwayne, and we'll have one of Dwayne's paintings coming up shortly. And I think that's absolutely right. It's that whole kind of masses of emotion that you can get just connecting. You know, I mean, I always find it extraordinary that you can go into a gallery or a museum and you can connect with something on the wall and have such an overwhelming kind of outpouring of emotion. And indeed, look at those same images on the internet, although I have to be honest and say it's not quite the same. Julie?
Just to remind everybody, next week's theme is ice and snowflakes.
Thank you. So I think we've got one more that Tracy's going to read. Is that right?
No.
Have we had crystals and dawns? Okay, in that case, thank you, Judy. So yes, and if you'd like to see the poems again, then go onto our website www.together2012.org.uk, go to the Together 2012 TV menu, and you'll find the highlights and links page with all of those poems. And coming up next, some images from our still life session at the Art Club. All of our clubs are free. They're available year-round apart from a break over Christmas. They're currently all taking place on Zoom and by phone, and we don't expect that to change anytime in the foreseeable future. So it's accessible to you wherever you are. If you identify as disabled, that might be that you've got a long-term health condition, a mental health condition, a learning difficulty. We don't ask, we just invite you to come along with whoever you need or want to support you at home and join in. So the Art Club runs on a Tuesday and Friday on Zoom from 11 to 12. It's facilitated by Alison Marchant, and on a Friday we do still life. So Alison or somebody else on the team creates an image and we share that with you by Zoom, but we can also WhatsApp it to you, email it to you, text it to you, or you can just join in later from home and look at the picture on the highlights and links page. We encourage you to use really just whatever you've got. You know, can be a biro and a piece of paper, pencil and a piece of paper, or you may have paints, you may have crayons, you may have pastels. All of that is absolutely fine. Traditionally, we pop the picture up to start with and get Robin to audio describe it. Usually he hasn't seen it before. He has actually seen it this week, so we will expect an extra good set of audio description, and then we'll look at some of the artist pictures.
Our image for this week is a pair of children's sort of basketball boots, ankle high tops. They are a lovely deep red colour with the kind of standard white welt around the bottom and sole. But what makes these what highlights these shoes is not only are they a deep red, but the laces are also red with white spots. And as you go up the boot, on both boots is a bow with black circles behind, which I now believe represent Minnie Mouse.
So this is the first of the pictures. It's not a great screenshot, for which I can only apologise, but it looks like it was a great picture. It's in felt tip, and that's by Sophia. Thank you very much, Sophia. This next one is, I think, probably in pencil, but I'm not 100% sure. Could be some kind of oil pastel or crayon. And this is by Lee Brooker. Just a beautiful, realistic representation of the boots, which and really bringing out those kind of Minnie Mouse type bows. So thank you very much, Lee. So this next one, I believe, is by Kate Rollerson, our youth development worker. And Kate's very much kind of focused on the left-hand shoe. I think that's probably because of time, but not necessarily. One of the things we always really love about these still lives is the fact that everybody is different, and that they're just all so different. So this one is Glory Sengo, and what Glory's done is really gone to town with the movement of the, I think he's used a red pencil and has just put lots and lots of movement into the shapes. And what I get from that is very much about the shoes moving. You know, Glory's really sort of imagined those shoes being used, and yeah, it's just, again, it's very different, and it's just the difference is what makes it all so wonderful. Then this one is by Dwayne Bryan, who just wrote the beautiful poem about the painting. Dwayne's actually got some real movement going on here as well, and particularly with the laces and the soles, he's kind of introduced some extra curves, and yeah, and that I think is in pencil and pastel. Love that, Dwayne. And finally, this is a painting, and this is by Crystal Peasy. And Crystal has done what she very often does, and again, I'm fascinated by where she's imagined a completely different angle. And of course, the one thing that we can't do still life on Zoom, which you can do in a studio, is you can't go round the picture. You can't sort of look at it from different angles, below or above. But what Crystal proves is you can just imagine it from a different angle and paint it like that anyway. So I'm always very impressed by that. Thank you very much, Crystal. And moving on, we also, on a Tuesday, the Art Club runs a Make and Natter session, again led by Alison, 11 till 12. It's a slightly different session, well, for two reasons. One is we natter as we go. We do talk through the Art Club on Friday, but it's pretty much about the images. On Tuesday, it's a little bit more personal, but also talking more about our craft projects. And there's two options. If you're involved in a craft project, whatever that might look like, from knitting and embroidery to papier-mâché, could be a pom-pom making, could be anything. Bring your craft project along, show other people, give them some ideas, get a bit of feedback, or take part in one of the activities led by Alison or somebody else on the team, that's always going to be based on recycled materials and things you already have at home. So you really don't need anything to join in other than, of course, an internet connection. Although, like I say, if you don't have great internet or your friends don't, they can still join in with poetry, and we can still do things like sending people images and texting people themes of poems and so on. So I've just got a couple of images up from this Tuesday. This is by Sophia, and what Sophia's done is drawn an owl, an outline in pen, I think in felt tip, and then has cut out pieces of recycled card and glued them on and used those to make feathers and eyes, which is very, very simple and really, really effective. And I could easily see this technique being used on a greetings card. Now, this is Ellen Goody, and what Ellen's doing is creating a collage using recycled Christmas paper. So she's taking her wrapping paper and I think sort of building up a collage and design and creating something ready for next Christmas, which I think is an excellent idea. And then finally, this is Crystal Peasy, and what Crystal's doing is rolling up old pieces of paper, probably old pieces of wrapping paper actually. It's not the best screenshot in the world, but it looks all very blue and shiny. And what she's doing is making effectively papier-mâché beads and making a necklace. So that's yet another great idea in terms of what to do with your holiday recycling. Although I'm sure, Tracy, that you've had plenty more ideas about what we can be doing with holiday recycling as well. And indeed, I think it's probably almost time to join in with Tracy. Last week, you showed us how to make a particular kind of flower out of recycled wrapping paper. And I'm certainly intending to carry on and make a whole bunch. I thought they were really, really lovely. So this is another kind of flower, isn't it? So if I pop up the first image on the screen.
Yeah, so this week I thought I had been making my way through a box of what they're called, not Little Heroes, Quality Streets. And they're the ones where you get the see-through paper and the silver paper on the inside. So I thought, ooh, what can I make with these? So yeah, so I've just got a bunch of paper wrappings and sweet wrappings, some tiny elastics, a glue stick, and a pair of scissors. So for the first, and this is a very easy one, very quick one to do. I chose 4 pieces of the paper, the colours that I like. But this could be anything. It could be a magazine, part of a magazine, newspaper, anything really that you've got in the house. And they just have to be cut out to be pretty much the same size, that's all. So here I am with my 4 sheets of paper, and I think they were green, yellow, purple and blue. And this is a technique I've used before where you fold the paper over like a fan. So you fold it one way, then you turn it over and fold it again. In fact, we used this technique last year when we made some rosettes. So it's the same sort of thing. And then I'm just showing you there that I've put one of the elastics right in the middle to keep it together. And I've opened it out just to show you how the package turns out like that. This step, I'd done my bow and then realised, I thought, it looks a bit square. So I had to put it all back together and just curve the edges around. So I'm just cutting the straight edges off to create a curve there. And then, as you can see, the package is then now curved. And then you just work your way through one side, just pulling up each layer and scrunching it together to create the petals of your flower. And then do that again on opposite side. So I'm just making it look nice. And then this is the completed thing, my completed flower, which I'm going to get. I think you might be able to see it on this jumper actually. When we go. Can you just about see that? I should get Robin to bring it.
I really like the leaves. I love the way you put the leaves onto the straw as well.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, this is one of the flowers that's going to go into the bouquet of flowers that we're going to do for the end of January.
I'm so impressed with that. I mean, of course, it does happen that I've got an entire kind of large jar full of ruffles wrapping paper, which all come all pink. So I think mine's going to be a kind of whole. Yes, lots of pink flowers, but I do unaccountably seem to have an awful lot of that kind of recycling after Christmas. So I think that's absolutely brilliant, and I'll come back to you with some more ideas about what we might do with. Yes, my end. Let's just say I've probably got another 3 or 4 of those jars full of empty wrappers from last year stuffed into a cupboard somewhere. Julie?
I think I must have a box of Quality Street to keep up with everybody. It's now required, I think.
Yeah, so if anybody's thinking, well, I've got rid of all my recycling, I must buy some more chocolates. Well, all I can do is move swiftly on and say, if you'd like to join in with any of Tracy's activities, we have a whole section on our website under the Join In From Home programme. Lots and lots of little photographs, series, videos that Tracy's done in the past, including, of course, last week's flowers instruction. And we also have a section for joining in with Stera. Stera has been sending us videos on almost a weekly basis for about 18 months now, both for this live stream and our previous one together on Locked. So this also has a flowers theme. So without further ado, I'm going to pop this on so we can join in with Stera.
Hi, I'm Stera, and I made a painting of a sunflower. I grew a sunflower when it was hot. I made the painting for my friend in hospital. Bye. Bye.
And as always, that was just brilliantly simple and effective. To get a bit of audio description, what Stera did was paint some sheets of white paper yellow, wait for them to dry, put a hand on them and drew around her hand and cut out the hand shapes to create flowers, put those round in a circles pattern. I'm not quite sure what she used in the middle, but it looked like almost like little bits of wood shavings, or, you know, you could have used anything really in the middle. And then that was mounted on a pole, and in fact it was like your flower but giant, which of course is what a sunflower is, so very much came across as sunflower size. So thank you so much as always, Stera, and also Hannah Facey, who facilitates the videos. And like I say, that will be up on our website under highlights and links in the Together 2012 TV section. But now it's that time when we move on and get seriously competitive, or at least our Paralympian gets seriously competitive, and the rest of us get a little bit competitive, because we're going to race our clockwork toys to see whose teddy bear has the honour of wearing a medal this week. Do you want to introduce your Teddy West Midlands?
Indeed. So this is PJ the Pajama Ted, who was victor last week, so has decided to attempt to defend his title.
Yes, it's a strange thing that in a game of chance, the surgeoners practically always win, but that's why Robin has got the worldwide reputation that he has. We have Tony the Teddy dressed in his captain's hat and his little grubby skipper jumper, his little red and white spotted bow tie, saying that he would love to win. So we're racing again because, of course, we have Beijing coming up, our clockwork snowmen across a very wintry particular surface. If you would like to join in from home, just decide, are you going to support the toy on the right or the left of the screen to start? And West Midlands, or should I say Birmingham 2022, which toy will you choose?
We're going to go against the grain, and we're going to choose left today.
You're going to choose left. Okie doke. So I'm going to pop us on mute and get you to do a little bit of commentary.
So as we get excited for the Winter Olympics coming up, here are our snowmen ready to race across this desolate, snowy surface. So we're off to a good start, both of them so far going in the right direction, but there's some interference from the London team member, and the Birmingham team member has managed to regain his course, or regain her course, in fact. Let's not judge. And believe it or not, the left-hand side of the screen has won again. Birmingham's won again, choosing the opposite side of the screen. Do you know what we need to do? I was going to say you should choose which side, but you make the film, so that would be. Oh, you're on mute, Ju. Ju, you're on mute.
Yeah, the lack of short-term memory kind of doesn't help, because otherwise I could at least prod you in the right direction. But the bottom line is I need to join your team. I mean, that would be the easiest way. But in the meantime, which medal from your vast family collection is your teddy wearing this week?
Well, because it's a retained medal, we're going to stick with the same one, which is a gold medal from the Orion Swimming Club Championships. Lovely, with a purple ribbon, and that's because our base colour club is purple. So, yay.
Wonderful. What else can we say apart from the fact that it's time to move swiftly on and look at some of our recommendations for things you can do online and offline almost entirely for free without leaving your home. I think it might just be worth at this point touching on the news that all COVID restrictions are coming to an end. Clearly, that's not the reality of our lives and many disabled people's lives. The reality is that we'll be shielding tighter than ever because there's going to be a lot more infection about. But there's still lots and lots of things you can do safely, as well, of course, as things you can do to protect yourselves out and about, including, most importantly of all, getting vaccinated and wearing a good quality mask. And we might come back to masks in future weeks, certainly at Together, because I think the quality of the masks we're wearing is going to be much more important than it ever has been now that people can legally go around infected. Well, it's not a nice thought, but like I say, there's lots of nice things that we can do without risking infection. And of course, as disabled people, risking the NHS having to look after us when they've got so much catching up to do. So, Julie, would you like to recommend something to start with?
Yes, thank you, Ju. I've stayed on Earth People's television this weekend and into next week.
We have to have an explanation for this. Well, because Earth People's TV, who else watches TV? No, when I first met Julie many years ago, there was this concept of satellite TV that was run from space and Earth TV that came through an aerial. Things have moved on a great deal since then, but I think there's a concept of free TV and free TV if you've got a TV license, and paid for TV if you've also got subscriptions. So on TV license TV.
On BBC One on Sundays at 7 p.m. is The Green Planet, and this is hosted by David Attenborough. So wise, so knowledgeable, as he takes everybody through a range of plant life in different habitations.
Has anybody else been watching that? I found it absolutely fascinating. Have you guys caught up with it?
I've dipped in and out actually of it and watched some of it, but I'll probably catch it on iPlayer as well.
Yeah, I would really so thoroughly recommend it. And if you're interested in photography and filmmaking, and you know, in our last streams we were able to talk quite a lot about that, then there's a 10-minute section at the end of each program which shows you how they did the filming, and it is just fascinating because of course they're making it all up. You know, this is all very experimental stuff. So yeah, the films are fascinating, but actually finding out how they did the filmmaking is fascinating as well. What would you recommend, Tracy? What was your first recommendation?
Well, so my first recommendation is on the same lines as Julie's, but it's actually called Earth Tropical Islands. And that's a BBC show as well, and that is narrated by David Herwood, a very attractive actor. And he's looking at some of the different tropical islands around the world and the way that the creatures have adapted to the modern world and different ways of that to deal with it. And it is like the David Attenborough. It's so fascinating, and just you get to see things that islands and places in the world that you've never have dreamt of. So it's a bit of escapism actually. You can just watch it and think, oh, nice cup of tea, put your feet up. Oh, I'd love to be there. So yeah, that is worth catching. That's a BBC iPlayer show.
That sounds great. I'd missed that one completely, but then I very often pick up tips from you. I think the other thing that I always think is that actually, if you were there in person, you wouldn't see as much as through these amazing cameras and through these amazing people, because also somebody may have sat in the jungle for 3 weeks just to get that one shot. And as tourists, you don't even want to be doing that, let alone have the luxury. The first thing I'm going to flag up is a couple of online dance sessions. They are for specific targeted groups of women, but they're groups that don't often, or disabled people really, but they're groups that don't often get targeted. So every Friday from 11 to 12, there is a free online dance session for people who either want to dance sitting down or need to because they're wheelchair users. And that's run by the Leonard Cheshire charity. You know, mixed reviews in terms of the charity, but I understand the dance sessions are very good. Like I say, they're free, they're every week, and they also welcome groups. So if there's a bunch of you that want to join in, that's fine as well. And then it's a one-off, but next Thursday, the 27th of January, free and online, there's a session that's just aimed at women who are deaf, hard of hearing, or deaf-blind. It's got live captions, it's got British Sign Language interpretation. It's a really inclusive, accessible dance session for deaf and hard of hearing women who are very often excluded from the online provision that there's been. And that's been organised by Newer Dance, and again, that's entirely free. So I think those just sound absolutely great. Like I say, they're two groups of dancers who very often just don't get catered for, and particularly not online. Robin, what have you got for us?
So my first recommendation is back to TV. This time it is on Channel 5 and My 5 on demand. It's called Watercolor Challenge. And basically each episode they take 4 amateur painters to a landscape and get them to capture that landscape, and it's, you know, done as a show. I mean, it says it's kind of competing, but it's not like it doesn't come across as one of these knockout competitions. But they're just the pictures that people make are absolutely incredible. And there's always loads of stuff in there about technique, as well as getting to see, again, lovely landscapes as well. But something different, because I've certainly not seen something of this ilk on the TV before.
No, I'm definitely going to look out for that, because I used to really enjoy the Sky competitions, but although I've got a subscription to an app that allows me to access them, there's so much on iPlayer and the free stuff I haven't really bothered. But I'm definitely, I think those painting competitions, like you said, they're so interesting because everybody's got a different approach. As with all of these pictures, it's just fascinating to see how they interpret them. What have you got for us next, Julie?
Following on from Art on 4 is on BBC 4 on Mondays at 9 o'clock. And the next one is the 24th, which is the final programme of a series of 4 featuring artists from the BBC archives. The first ones were Salvador Dali, Vincent van Gogh and Claude Monet, and the final one is about Turner. It's available to watch live or through the iPlayer.
Well, that sounds very high-powered and also very useful if anybody happens to be doing that kind of thing for education as well. I'm going to pick up, just because I can, and I'm looking at it at the moment, there's a really interesting free online discussion coming up on Tuesday the 25th from 7 to 8:30. And it's a director called Tia Monique Uzor, and it's a roundtable discussion about a film that she's made called The Noise My Leaves Make. And the full title of the talk is The Noise My Leaves Make, Black British Women and Surrendering to Belonging. And it says, filmed in Leicestershire, The Noise My Leaves Make explores Black British women in the rural English environment, a space that has been typically denied to Black British women as a place of belonging. The 3 dancers claim the countryside as their own, finding sisterhood, connection and joy. And it sounds like a very joyous event and a lovely film. You get given a free link to watch the film, I think about 3 days before the event takes place. And again, it's free, it's online, and I think it's got a lot of resonance, particularly for Black British women in East London, but Black British women everywhere. But I think it's a much wider interest as well, and it's certainly a project that I'm going to follow up as a white woman. Tracy, what would you recommend next?
Right, the next one is hopefully it'll be of interest. I'm quite interested in having a look. It's a 10 weeks, so 10 sessions of keep fit and work out, which can be done from a seated position. So for a wheelchair, the lady that presents it is called Ella Bowman, and actually she is someone that my son went to university with. She's a wheelchair user herself, and she's getting involved in lots of good things at the moment, isn't she? But it's an online, so it's on your computer, 10-week workout session to keep fit and healthy.
And when did you say that was again?
Well, it's online, so it's available at any time. And
I see, it's pre-recorded.
Yeah, so it's so she'll take you through the session. So it does feel like you're there with her because she takes you through the session. And that's through Wheel Power, which is an organisation that try and do a lot of sports for wheelchair users. And all the details are on our links and highlights page as well. So I think that'd be well worth taking a look at. And with everything, just because it's a wheelchair fitness session, but if I'm going to do it, I only do the bits I can do. So if she shows you something you can't do, adapt it or leave that bit and move on to the next bit. But any sort of exercise and movement is good for the heart, good for the brain.
And I think particularly in January, it's very easy to forget until we see all the sweet wrappers, isn't it? That it's actually quite recently that I certainly spent 10 days in pyjamas and dressing gown, and seems to have got through an extraordinary amount of sweets. So I'll definitely be checking that one out. Julie, what else have you got for us?
I've got the Great Pottery Throwdown on Sundays at 7:45 on Channel 4. This is it's running through till March. It's weekly. Each week the potters face a different challenge, and one will leave, and another will be declared the Potter of the Week. So it's competitive.
Yeah, and I have to say we've really enjoyed that. I have a great friend who, when we were working in person, used to get very frustrated by it every week because he really knew what he was doing with pottery, and I don't. So I get really into it. So other people who do know a bit more might get a bit frustrated, but it's really inspiring. And I have to flag up again in terms of joining with Tracy. There's full instructions for how to make salt dough. So if you see some of the smaller things that they're making on the Pottery Throwdown and you just feel like you have to have a go, all you need is equal amounts of salt and flour. And there you go. You can either let it air dry, cook it, but have a little go, and please do send it to us. So I've got just one more, which is really relevant if you're interested in photography, filmmaking. We run a Photographers and Filmmakers Club on the second Monday of every month. And indeed, on the fourth Monday, we have a Dance on Screen Club, and that's coming up on 24th, next Monday at 11 o'clock, should anybody wish to join us. But this is more about film festivals. We run our own film festival, which is still online. But this is the very, very famous Sundance Film Festival, which usually you've got to be not rich, but you've got to be able to borrow enough money to be able to get there. And you've got to be a filmmaker. But this year, their Outfest Queer Brunch, which is in its 26th year, returns virtually as a gathering of festival alumni, industry, community, and fans of cinema. So everybody is welcome to celebrate the LGBTQ films at Sundance and also Slamdance. And what I've said is it's a great opportunity to join in with something that would usually be either very costly or basically completely inaccessible. It never occurred to me I'd ever be able to go to something at Sundance, but I shall be trying that. And that's Sunday the 23rd from 7 to 8. I think we maybe just got time for another one or two from the West Midlands, if you've got anything.
Yeah, we've just got one left. And again, I'm talking of inspiration. If you really want to find an art, a kind of visual art practice, and you're not sure what kind of stuff you like, I found from the Royal Academy, there is something called 9 virtual exhibition tours to watch, and basically it's 9 short films of 9 different artists' collections, and it's just really, really good. I mean, I didn't watch all of them yesterday, but I watched some. I watched some of the Andy Warhol, some of the Salvador Dali as well, but there's just a whole host of kind of very different artists, and it's great because actually talking about sitting down with a cup of tea, if you've got the link on your computer or your phone and you think, oh, I'll just browse that, bang, it's there, and you've got yourself an art exhibition.
Yes, and I think that's one of the things about all of the virtual tours. And I have to say, all of our previous highlights and links remain on the website. They're sort of parceled up into monthly chunks, and within those there's quite a number of things like virtual tours that are not time limited, so you can still access them. Also still available is our 5-week Together 2021 Disability History Month Festival, which took place originally in November and December. All of the exhibitions are online and still open. All of the recordings of the performances are still there. We have a bunch of recycled craft family activities, and we have links to quite a number of the films that were shown in the film festival. So there's still lots and lots to do. Don't feel bored or don't feel you'd like to know more about disability arts. It's all there to enjoy. And there's just a huge range from dance workshops and, like I say, craft activities to discussions about community safety, opera, yes, you name it. And indeed, one of the exhibitions is by our very own Duncan Bridgestock, which is a wonderful exhibition of over 50 collages made from recycled card. We also have our Together 2020 Together 2021 open exhibition, which has got 50 artists, all with a link to the London Borough of Newham, whether that's living here, working, studying, volunteering, or some other link. But that's pretty much it for today. And finally, we're going to finish with a song from our very own Robin Sergeant, also known as Angry Fish. So would we like to have a goodbye from Tracy before she gets literally wheeled out of the world?
Yes, thank you, and I will see you again next week with some more flowers. No,
Yeah. I love the idea that by Valentine's Day we're all going to have a bunch of flowers that we can give to somebody else. Thank you, Tracy. And thank you, Julie. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Robin, I think if you turn down your sound on the main desk just a little bit for the music, because it was just fractionally loud, and I know you do like to sing your heart out, and we love to listen to you. So we're going to switch ourselves off, ready to enjoy Robin. Stay home, stay creative, stay so safe and well, and we'll be back next week.
Okay, well, this song, change the angle of shot there, trying to make the guitar not too loud. This song is called Reward, and it is very much about what the Mandalorian would fight for. Don't take a big man to realize that each and every one of us needs a little help in our lives. Some of us among us who need a little bit more, and we shouldn't have to sell our souls to get our feet outside our doors. When Bob and Debs and Joe, Francis and Eustace, fed up of being put down, things begin to fall into place. Just finding independence don't mean doing it on your own, because we all need partners. It don't help to be a smarty when all your mates have gone. So recognize that it's not a sign of weakness to share the load. The sum of the parts, called doing it together, is greater than the whole. We've gotta strike out, we've gotta strike strong, we've gotta strive to move things forward. If we all work together for a better forever, don't you know it'll be our reward. We can talk about inclusion, but not to the exclusion of the instigation of some action that leads to reaction. The people of the masses, irrespective of the classes, come together as a nation to defy. The people of the masses, irrespective of the classes, come together as a nation to defy discrimination. So recognize that it's not a sign of weakness to share the load. The sum of the parts, called doing it together, is better than the whole. You've gotta strike out, you've gotta strike strong, gotta strive to move things forward. If we all work together for a better forever, don't you know it'll be our reward. We've got to work, 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 work together. It'll lead to our rewards. Have a great weekend. See you next week.